Welcome back to How to Family Tree, where we help you build your family tree, connect to your ancestors, and discover who you are. Hello, my name is Elder McNatt, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about sources and why they're important in your family history research. Now, you may be wondering, what is a source? Well, a source is any official document or record that provides information about a person. Now, why are sources important? Well, a source provides physical evidence that something occurred when it did. In other words, it proves that the information that you have is accurate. To demonstrate this principle, we're going to use a little example. Let's say my neighbor has a platypus named Jerry. I like Jerry. And so one night, let's say, I stole Jerry from my neighbor and I tried to make him my own pet. Now, if no one saw it and there was no evidence that I had Jerry, then I'd be clean and no one could catch me. But let's say my neighbor had a camera on their porch and saw me walk in and walk out with Jerry. That would be evidence that I took that platypus. It's the same thing with family history research. The sources provide the evidence that something happened. There are a lot of different types of sources. These different types could include a birth record, death records, marriage records, and many more. The information that we're looking for are the names, dates, places, and relationships that connect with the individual, or as I like to call them, NDPRs. To understand sources a little bit better, we're going to show a few examples. The first is a death record from California back in the 1950s. Let's try to find those NDPRs. First, up top, we have the name of the individual that the document is about. Then we have the name of his father, and then we'd have the name of his mother, but that information is unknown. And right here we have the name of his spouse. Great, we found the names that are associated with the document. Next are the dates. Right here we have the information for his birth date, and here is the information for his death date. Next, let's look for the places. Here we can find the information for where he, his mother, and his father were born, and that was in Sweden. And here we find the information for the residence he lived in for 38 years in Los Angeles, California. After that, we look for the relationships. We've mentioned them already, but we see that he has his father, his mother, and his spouse. Let's look at another example. This one is a census record from about 100 years previous, in 1850. Well, let's find those NDPRs. First, for names, we can find a list of all the names of the individuals involved in this left column. For dates, we look up top and we can find the date of the census, July 29th, 1850. For places, we have the place where the census took place up top, which is a source for residence information. As well, we have the birthplaces of all the individuals in the record. For relationships, if we look back at the names, we see that the head of the household is up top, and when applicable, his spouse is underneath, and anyone else that lives in the household is below that. Here are some other examples of source records and the information that you can find from them. I bet you're wondering, where do these sources even come from? Well, first, they start out as a paper document. Then, someone will scan a picture of that document and upload it to the computer, and from there to a genealogy website. Then another individual will look at the document and type up the information that's found on it, and that process is known as indexing, which we'll cover more in another episode. From there, you can find those records on one of those genealogy websites and review the information that you find on it and attach it to the profile of the people that you're working with. So far, we've answered the questions of what are sources, why are they important, how can you use them, and where do they come from. Now, we're going to answer the question of where do you find the sources? One way to find sources for an individual person is to search directly for them. Go to the Search tab and type in the information for a person you want to find sources for. The more information you put in, the easier it will be to filter through records that don't match. The search will default to searching similar NDPRs, but if you check the box next to the field, it will do an exact search. When you look at the results, you can see some of the basic details of the record. If the record has already been attached to someone, you can click on the tree to view that person's tree. Click on the paper to view the details of the record, and click on the camera to view an image of the record. If the camera icon has a box behind it, it means the source image is from a different website. You can also search by collections. About 70% of sources on Family Search are not indexed, which means you won't be able to find them through a simple search. If you browse by collection, you can see many different collections of sources that may contain your relatives. Another way that is very simple is to search from a person's profile. If you go to their profile, you can click on any of the websites in the Search Records tab on the right, and it'll search for records with the information from the profile. If you'd like to see what sources are attached to the individuals in your family tree, first go to their profile and then click on the Sources tab, and you can see the list of all the sources that are in their profile. To view the details of a source, click on one of the sources in this list, and you can look at all the information that was extracted from that source, those being those NDPRs, the names, dates, places, and relationships. As well, there's a chance that you could view the picture of the original source document. To look at what sources provided the vital information, go back to the main profile and then click on the little Sources button next to any of the vital information. From there, you can see a list of all the sources that provided that information. We hope that this episode was able to help you understand sources a little bit more and how to use them in your family history research. But if you got stuck on any step along the way, reach out to us on our Facebook page and you can get connected and work one-on-one with a missionary like me to solve those little roadblocks. Next time, we're going to be looking at record hints, which is a very convenient way to find and attach sources to individuals' profiles. Thank you all so much for watching, and we hope you can continue to build, connect, and discover. We'll see you next week.